If you love playing support, but you also want to learn to play DPS, you've picked the right hero to learn. Today, you're going to learn about the ball-flinging robot monk Zenyatta. My name is Nathan, and this is Blizzard Guides. Zenyatta is a weird hero with not too much lore behind him. He's got a variety of interesting skins to say the least, but there are two most important things about him mechanically. One, in the right hands, he's just pretty much a sniper, and two, he's the best support if you're looking to climb in competitive, aside from Brigitte at the moment. Zenyatta mixes prediction shots with good positioning and disciplined ult usage to combine into a hero that is a force to be reckoned with. While he still technically falls under the support category, he still does so much damage that you'll usually end up doing silver or gold damage at the end of your matches, and if you're good with your transcendences, you're also going to be in contention for picking up gold heals. So basically, you're going to be an absolute backbone of your team each time you pick this hero. This guide is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to start off with his primary and alternate fire, then move on to his heal and discord orbs, and then finally to his ultimate, and then just give you a full rundown of your positioning as well as some technical tips here and there. So with that out of the way, let's get right into this list. At number 5, we're going to talk about his primary and alternate fires. Zen's damage output is crazy. Whether it is from his discord or his orbs, you're going to be doing a ton of damage consistently, or feeding more damage with that discord. Because of this, you're always going to want to be throwing your orbs of destruction out, doing as much damage as constantly as possible. There are a couple of reasons why. First of all, you're going to charge your ult extremely quickly if you constantly throw damage out. Your only real way of charging ult is from your orbs, so you'll always have to do damage where you can, even if you feed a bit of support ult to the enemy. You're going to be charging both ults at the same rate anyway, so if both supports on both sides heal each other's Zen's damage, you're still going to end up with 2 Zen ultimates on both sides, which isn't a bad thing in the grand scheme of things. There's strategies to counter the mirror Zen ultimates, which I'll cover in a bit, so you shouldn't be too worried about that. However, with that said, as you're constantly throwing damage out, you should always be using those fast moving sniper orbs to take care of low health targets that are attempting to disengage. Because your DPS heroes are still going to be doing the bulk of the damage, if you use that damage to follow up on low health targets rather than doing the initial damage, you'll find that you get more value out of your orbs. You're still able to use your orbs to engage and do the initial poke damage, but you also want to be aware of those targets that are running away, since you'll also be able to just discord them should you miss your orbs. Now, a common question that I hear a lot is when to use your charged up shots versus your basic orbs. The simple answer is that if you're at range, just use your charged shot. If you're close up, depending on your health, you might want to use one or the other. If you're taking damage or just low on health, you probably want to go for a quick single orb shot. But if you're not in immediate danger, you should use your charge orb if no particular target is low on health, as the volley does higher burst damage and can deny the enemy time to heal the damage that you've dealt. If there is a low health target nearby, however, using your single orbs to quickly finish them off is just smarter than using the volley, assuming that you're at close range. To summarize it, you really just want to use your left click if you want small bursts of quick damage from any situation, and use the charge shot when you know you're going to be able to charge it and you don't immediately need to do damage. Using the charge shot at range is a bit more reliable than using your left click, since you get a volley of orbs that cuts you a bit of slack if you miss the first few orbs that you throw. And lastly, once you do have trans, there's no point in doing damage to tanks if you're not going to get the kill, since you're not going to do anything but feed ult. Minor thing, but it's important to know. Next up at number 4, we're going to go over Zen's Harmony Orb. Zen's Harmony Orb is really easy to use, so there's not really going to be much that needs to be covered here. The general theme is that you want to heal risk and not health. If you have a teammate that's extended a bit further than the rest of your team, you probably just want to slap that healing orb on them rather than healing the half health target that's near you but is protected by your main tanks. Your main healers are there to do the bulk heals, your heals are there to keep a target that's in a risky position safe. Because you don't need to maintain a constant line of sight with Zen's orb, nor follow your ally around, you'll be able to keep those allies in the fight longer at no risk to yourself, and also keep them away from getting their health chipped away. The chipping of the health really does take a toll, so negating that can have huge value if the orbs are intelligently placed. And secondly, you also always want to have Harmony Orb on anybody, even if they're full health and you're busy doing damage. If you keep Harmony Orb engaged, you'll be able to have more value in the fight because it doesn't cost you anything to keep that orb on anyone other than the half-second deployment time. Try and keep it on your backline supports or flankers. Don't really always keep it on a tank because, again, that's what your main healers are for. At number 3, we're going to talk about Discord. Discord is Zen's most valuable asset. The powerful damage multiplier that it applies to the enemy it is attached to is crazy good. There are a few things that you should always be doing as Zen with Discord. One is that if there is any enemy that is by themselves and near your team, put Discord on them. If your teammates decide to go after that kill, you already have Discord on that enemy and you don't have to worry about looking over and trying to get the Discord while the target is running away, regardless of whether or not you decide to help follow up. If you're in the middle of a team fight, you usually want to keep Discord on the main tank of the enemy, as your team will most likely begin to focus said tank. If your team decides to try and kill the main tank, you're going to have an easier time trying to get that kill with Discord on the tank. However, if your team doesn't have the firepower to kill the tank fast enough and there are allies nearby the enemy support, you definitely want to put Discord on the support that is in somewhat of a dangerous spot. Discord really just serves two purposes: extra damage and a flag to tell your team, hey, do more damage to this guy now. Thus, as Zen, you're really going to just want to use your Discord to control the fight in terms of team focus. That's why I say to keep Discord on the main tank or on the support that's threatened by your team's DPS. This Discord will act as a deterrent to your enemy's positioning as well as an enabler to your team's damage. Thus, you really just want to have Discord where the damage is going, and if the damage is spread out everywhere, try and identify the win condition and capitalize on that. So if you think that killing the main tank of the enemy will win you the fight, put Discord on the tank. And if you think that the enemy healers are keeping the fight going, put Discord on them. Or if maybe the Genji is ulting on the enemy team, you want to put Discord on him. Win conditions are just what drives Zen's decision making. A few quick tips for Discord are as follows. Always keep Discord attached, much like with Harmony. If you see a Rein shield, spam your Discord button in the hopes that he drops his shield. You'll get the Discord on someone behind the shield or Rein himself, which will be very valuable in the long run. I recommend that you also set Discord onto scroll wheel if you're on PC and spam the scroll wheel so that if the enemy only shows up for a frame, you'll still be able to get the Discord off and not be held back by your keyboard. You can do the same with Harmony as well. At number 2, we're going to talk about Transcendence usage. Trans is Zen's second best tool, closely followed by his Discord. Trans is the best defensive ult in the game by far, therefore it can completely negate several ultimates at once if you use it carefully to your advantage. The general decision making is simple. If you think that you can capture the objective without using Trans, then just don't use Trans. If your team has 2 or more people alive compared to the enemy team, there's just no need to use Trans unless the remaining 3 to 4 enemies are using something like Grav or Dragon Blade. Identifying whether or not your team can win the fight with the resources present is key to getting good transes off. And similarly, if the opposite is true and your team can't win the fight even with trans, sometimes it's just best not to use trans even if you're going to lose the fight. You have to carefully manage trans since it charges very slowly. For example, if the enemy commits an ultimate like Shatter but only gets one person and you know that the Zarya has Graviton Surge nearly charged, sometimes it is better to just let that one person die and save the trans for the grab rather than transing that one ally that might not even be necessary to the team fight. You always need to consider whether trans will win you the fight. Also, another important counterplay that you must know about is that support ultimates from either side usually mean invincibility for the duration of the ult. Because of this, if both teams pop their support ultimates at the same time, both teams are just going to end up in a stalemate where nothing happens for the 6 seconds that trans is up. Because of this, it is often more advantageous to use trans after the enemy defensive support ult goes out, as if your team survives the enemy's invulnerability period, you can pop your trans right after theirs is up, allowing you to get the upper hand in the fight. This counterplay with support ultimates is extremely subtle, but it is really game changing, and you'll notice it more and more the more supports that you play in general, not just Zen or something like Lucio. And lastly, at number 1, I'm going to be giving you guys some general positioning tips. As in, you just always want to be deep in your own backline or right next to your tanks. You never want to be caught off guard by yourself because Zen just doesn't have any escape abilities and you'll really just have to be calculated with your positioning. Taking up high ground is also an effective way to force the enemy to commit to kill you, as if they want to let ults out and you have trans, you'll be able to force them to make a decision, giving your team an edge in the fight. When you don't have trans, you definitely want to play in a more aggressive position so that you can quickly charge your ult, and when you do finally get trans, you want to take a more defensive position so that you don't get caught out and leave your team without trans. Playing behind your tanks is always necessitated, so treat it like the bounds for your aggressive play. When you do have trans, if you know the enemy has an ult like Grav, Shatter, Barrage Blade, or Death Blossom up, you definitely want to play it very defensively and out of sight so that when those ults do come out, you can trans and save the fight for your team. Overall though, you should constantly ask yourself a few things. 1, if you're in danger or not, and really take that to heart. Always be monitoring your escape routes as well, and ask yourself where you should go in the event of enemy pressure. Being constantly aware really helps you win games as Zenyatta. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought about this guide in the comments down below. Seriously, if you have any questions about anything I covered or something more in depth, feel free to let me know in the comments down below or on Twitter. I'm always reading what you guys have to say and would really love to help you guys out. Also, subscribe and get notified by hitting the bell icon down below if you want to see more content just like this. We really try to upload 3 times a week, so we hope you guys will enjoy what we have to offer. If you guys enjoyed this specific video, leave a like to let us know. It really helps us know what you guys like to see. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a nice day. My name is Nathan, and this was Blizzard Guides.